are you a block or a grand designs? And some of them say the block, and I said, well, that's not possible. And then we have a laugh, and I just say, our goal is to figure out what your budget is at the end of the day, and we try to build to that budget. But I always tell clients at this very early stage of this meeting that we meet at the first on-site consultation, sometimes clients can be very holding their barrier up because they don't want to tell the builder their price because they think the builder's going to go to the end of that. And I disagree with that. I think you should be telling the builder straight up, this is my end price and what's possible. And then we can figure out from that early stage if the dream that you have in your head is really possible.
Thinking about building or renovating? Or maybe you are already knee-deep in a project now. Are you feeling unsure of which steps to take and if you are making the right calls? You're not alone. Welcome to Builders Beyond Borders, the podcast where experienced Aussie builders share real stories, insider tips, and practical advice so you can build with confidence, avoid costly mistakes, and actually enjoy the journey. Let's dive in.
G'day there, guys. Welcome to another episode of Builders Beyond Borders. My name is Hugh, and today we have Andy and Louise from the West, from Perway Construction Services. And wow, what a day and what an experience everybody's actually having at the moment, whether you're building already, whether you're preparing to build, or you're just thinking about it. Because we're starting to see some, I guess, whether we want to even touch on anything on cost of living pressures or anything like that, but when it comes to building, is the realistic nature of whether a build is actually going to be whether your budget is going to be aligned with your project and whether you're actually going to be realistically able to achieve what you want to do. And with the changing nature of the current environment out there. And okay, we've seen some things change over COVID and all that sort of thing, but the current state of affairs out there and changes happening every single day. Is this a scary proposition for people to actually start building at the moment? And does everybody actually have a realistic idea on what they can actually achieve? So yeah, we'll throw it out there and just have a little bit of fun today. But yes, Andy, Louise, I know Western Australia, it's probably like another country compared to the eastern states, but it's really good to be able to sort of see what's happening on different sides of the country. And I'd love to hear a story about what you guys are actually seeing over in the West when it comes
Mm.
to whether you're finding people are actually realistic in their nature when it comes to either a renovation or a new build or anything like that, and what kind of things are actually popping up to change their perspective or their view on whether they're going to be able to achieve what they want or not.
Yep. I'll go first if that's okay. Louise, thanks for this today. What's going on, what I see, what's not happening at the moment is sometimes clients are watching these shows like The Block or they're watching Grand Designs. And when I'm in this meeting, I actually have a laugh at this. I say, guys, before we dive in, I said, can you just tell me, are you a block or a Grand Designs? And some of them say the block, and I said, well, that's not possible. And then we have a laugh, and I just say, our goal is to figure out what your budget is at the end of the day, and we try to build to that budget. But I always tell clients at this very early stage of this meeting that we meet at the first on-site consultation, sometimes clients can be very holding their barrier up because they don't want to tell the builder their price because they think the builder's going to go to the end of that. And I disagree with that. I think you should be telling the builder straight up, this is my end price and what's possible. And then we can figure out from that early stage if the dream that you have in your head is really possible. And I've been in meetings that clients have spent a lot of money on drones. And at the end of it, then we get the drones back from our draft team. And then we go and do a prelim build estimate from that drones. And from that process, then, we actually figure out if the client is feasible to continue to the next stage. 90% of the time, clients from that stage will keep going. And in the last few years, people have continued on and then they went to an interior designer and went all out on their packages
Mm.
and they put an extra $300,000 on top. And then when we came back to finalize the pricing, it felt like I've done not the right job there, if that makes sense. When I should have like rang them straight away, going, I just got your interior design costume back. And I've gone past where you first were. Because at the end of the day, we're always learning this construction is if we can get in front of them very early, then we can give them a bit of a build estimate to find out where the costing can be at, if that makes sense. And another thing, like usually the client's budgets never is aligned to the price at the very front end of that job. I always found that. So when they fill out our questionnaire, they put in their budget, but when they do their drawings and everything, it's nearly gone past that nearly two times over, or 1.5, I found. And that's just what I'm seeing on my side view. So that is a few examples of a bit of a what I've seen in clients' meetings of their budgets. Is it realistic to what they're trying to do?
I
Yeah.
think it comes down to a few things because what I've noticed is and it's been just this week actually, we had a client that came through and they had, their plans already drawn up, and they sent through, they were recommended to us by, some people that we knew, and they said, "Hey, look, we've got these, drawings, we wanna do this, full house renovation." The designer and drafts person have said that it should be around, $350,000, "Can we proceed with that?" And I think Andy and the team looked at it and they were just like, well, I don't know what the designer or drafty was, telling you there, but actually, this is nearly a $1 million project, in terms of just the basics. That's not even understanding whether that client wanted high end, or what type of selections and ranges they want. So I think it starts with there as well, that it depends where the clients are getting the information from originally to know whether then that budget is going to be realistic or not. So Andy mentioned about, the block and grand designs and some of those programs that people then have this fantasized reality of this is what it should be, and these are things that this is what a full house renovation should cost, without understanding all of the things that go on behind the walls and behind all of the processes and things like that. And then there's if it depends what pathway they come through. If they come through like designer first, and if you've got a designer who is not working in, with the costings daily, they're basing it upon maybe like outdated market rates or just within their knowledge base. They're not gonna know exactly how much that's gonna cost, and like that we just the example this week, that designer was so far off, which is really frustrating because then the clients have already spent the money on this design, which they think is gonna cost $350,000 when in fact, actually, here's it's gonna be approximately $1 million job. So now that client either has to, scrap the idea, redesign, spend more money to bring down the scope, or else find some way of coming up with that money. So, so there, yeah, as I said, it depends on what avenue people are coming down through, and it like I do think people's budgets are unrealistic because they don't fully understand everything that's needs to be considered for a new home, a renovation, a granny flat, whatever that might be. They don't know like if they're building a wall, there's potentially considering maybe what subcontractors and material prices are, but without fully anticipating what labor's required. If they're want a really high performing home, like all of the additional things that's required to make that a fully high performing home. They don't understand the costings and the time and effort that it goes into all of the council compliance stuff behind the scenes before we even get to the actual construction of that project. So, people can just be walking through Bunnings, or they could be walking through a nice show house, or like display place, and looking at costings of some of the kitchen units and things like that, and then like patching together or asking Google or ChatGPT. Maybe Claude might give a really better quality bit of an estimate now, but in the whole scheme of it, I just don't think people have that full understanding of everything that needs to be included to really have that realistic idea, because there is far more clients that come through with a lower budget of what they anticipate that work to be, than clients that come through with the appropriate, inverted commas, appropriate budget that is required for their works.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, and I think that when you sort of really sit back and have a think about where people are getting their information from. I mean, you've got so many different sources, whether it is the other builders, whether it is not just builders, but whether it is like the television programs, like the blocks, the grand designs, and whether some of that information is actually really quite accurate or it's not accurate at all.
Mm.
And there's a lot of things that are sort of missed. I mean, this is probably one of the biggest problems with shows like The Block, where okay, these guys are given a budget for a room, and people think, oh, 20 grand for a bathroom, and that's just okay. That's just the finishing touches that they're given cash. When you take into account that they get vouchers for tiles, they get vouchers for lighting, they get all this extra stuff, and they're not doing any of the structural costings
Mhm.
as well. If there's a major bit that needs to be done, that's already been pre-completed by the builder that's running the build itself. So that's where The Block is probably one of the most, even though it's realistic television or whatever they want, reality TV, and they want to think that it's accurate, it's quite challenging to be able to sort of pick it apart and go, this is what is actually accurate. Whereas you look at Grand Designs, well, I mean, I think we've all heard the story about Grand Designs, and we've probably shared it ourselves a number of times where when it comes to clients, is in the whole series of Grand Designs, whether it's UK, New Zealand, Australia, or anything like that, at which point in time did any project come in on time and on budget? And that's a really big thing. But the budget concerns when it came to those shows was it was much more realistic, and people were actually going, "Hey, this is the entire cost." And some of the projects blew out by 2 or 3 times,
Mhm.
and you're there just going, were these people actually being realistic when they started? Yes, some of them took years upon years and upon years to actually complete, and that makes it all really challenging. And so when it comes to chatting with clients now, where they get their information from, where they get their advice from, is really going to be pivotal on by the time they get to a builder like us or whoever it may be. How challenging is it going to be for us to actually find out whether they are actually realistic about things or
Mm.
not? Yeah, I love the question of whether you're a block or a grand designs person, because yeah, that's really going to show. I think that's probably one of the ones that we really sort of look at and go, is this person realistic or
Yeah.
not?
There's other things that it's the comparison as well. Like if people don't understand the quality
Mm,
of work that potentially you bring, and they don't understand, like, you know, for example, in our granny flats, we build high performing, eco-friendly granny flats. So people will approach us and say, "Hey, look, I've got $50,000. Can I would like to have one of your pods, one of your eco pods." And it's like, well, that's not within the budget. But then they're looking at, oh, well, I can get actually Bunnings. Bunnings just created those new tiny home things for like
mm,
$49,000. And it's like, are you comparing apples with apples? Like,
mm,
it's that budget, expectation of, oh, sorry, it's just the understanding of oh, I've got a budget of $50,000. You can get, yes, a Bunnings, flat pack and set one up yourself. And, is it compliant and has it got all of your plumbing and has it got all of
mm,
these features? It might just be walls and, a little kitchenette unit. But I mean, if you're thinking of, if you've got money for a budget for that, then you cannot come over here and then look at eco-friendly passive house standards, principles, everything applied, and then just have the same amount of money to be able to buy over here from the other builder. So it's kind of understanding what quality, what speed, and then what how much that's going to cost. Have you got all of the same things that you're comparing with other builders and with other products? And if you don't have apples for apples, then you can't have the same budget expectations across the line.
yep, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Well, that's I don't know about you, but yeah, where when they're not comparing the apples with apples, they're not comparing the the build quality, and in a lot of ways, the experience that they're going to have is uh, are they actually going to be getting value for money,
Mhm.
or are they just going to be getting a product that then they've got extra costs on
Yeah.
top after they complete?
Mm.
Or like your example with the Bunnings pod or whatever it may be, That's probably just the product delivered to your house. And then you've still got to think about all your connections. You've still got to do all of this extra work
Hmm.
that doesn't fit into that budget.
Yeah.
Then what happens? Do you then go, oh, do I need to go out and find somebody else to come in and do the connection? There's
Hmm.
sparky, plumber, gas, or whatever else it might
Blows it
be.
all out, and then then you look at going, oh, actually, that your $50,000 is now 75, 80, 85, and then it's like, well, you weren't very far off the other builder who had
Mm.
all of the things included.
That's right. And the deliverable that will come from something like that
Mm.
is going to will it meet their expectations as well, because we all know that the expectation is, oh, well, we're with a budget that's sitting here, we're comparing that budget to, say, volume builder A, volume builder
Mhm.
B. We can get that. Okay, so you've walked through that house. What are you getting over there?
Mm.
For us who, like yourself, doing the sustainable living stuff, and oh, that is a step above the standard. So the standard's here, but we're moving up to a different level.
Mm.
So the value in that is going to be different compared to, like, and any custom builder is going, the value is completely different compared to the spec homes. The volume builder A, volume builder B will actually do, because of the standard that we have is already probably 3, 4, 5 notches above
Yeah.
those homes. The the
Mhm.
the ones that you can, like these guys can knock out a home in 3 to 6 months. They've got the system in place to be able to do that, but when it comes to what's delivered and what the core part of the house is, you're probably going to find that there's a lot lacking in
Mhm.
comparison to the custom builder that's doing some of those sustainable practices, which now are going to be part of, well,
Norm anyway.
part of the norm, because
Mhm.
the National Construction Code is stipulating that some of these things have to be done. There's no
Yeah.
ifs or buts about it, which is once again increase the cost of building, but it's going to make it better for everybody. And these are probably some of the things that are also adding to the budgets,
Mhm.
and also making it challenging for everybody, not
Mhm.
just homeowners, but for ourselves as well,
Mhm.
to ensure that the realistic budgets are actually being sort of looked at, and the valuable information that needs to go out there to help people to find out whether they're doing the right thing, or whether they are being accurate with what's going on in their head, going,
Mhm.
oh, are we getting what we're paying for?
Mhm.
If you had to, what is the one action listeners can take away from today from the both of you? What's the one action if you had to tell them to take away at this end, if they're still listening and people are listening to us and taking our advice? So what is that one takeaway for them?
I would say that, like, it's probably the expectation of what you actually want from that building process. So I'm just going to touch on what Hugh said earlier about experience. So, I mean, people can have, a budget of just say $500,000 that they want to have a full home renovation done for. But within that, they might just get a one man band and somebody that then is going to pass back any of the council documents the client has to manage. Council has to manage, sorry, the client has to manage working with the designer. They have to organize maybe their own selections. They have to go and choose, go out to the shops on their own. Like, it comes back to what experience that client is looking for as well. So, I mean, if the client wants a builder that can support them fully, that will have a team there that's going to help them with the communications, help them work through compliance issues, help them be available to speak to on the phone, to talk about their projects, to have processes, proper contracts in place, have all of the things that lead to a good client experience, then there should be an expectation to pay more for that than someone else that's just doing it as a base level. So I think it's about thinking about what they actually want, what their expectations are from that builder or from that building project process. Like, do they really value quality? Because if they value quality, they value a quality experience, they value not having the time and energy that's going into a project. They value maybe speed, then they have to be prepared to have a bigger budget than than the norm, because so it's just aligning that their expectations of everything with the budget that they have. So that would be my takeaway, just to be clear on what you actually want, and if you want, the bells and whistles, be prepared to pay for it.
Nice. Great place. You.
Well, I think even to an extent, following on from what Louise is saying there, is that aspect of being open-minded that when you're actually approaching this, you need to be approaching it from a really holistic way of actually listening to the advice that you're actually getting from the professionals, because everybody's going to have a little bit of advice and a little bit of a gold nugget to actually go, hey, your budget's probably not going to align with this, or there might not be something like that. But it's also listening to the points of, this is why you can't get something. Not necessarily can't get it, but why there might be a challenge to be able to achieve that, and where you may have to compromise on things to be able to achieve what you're looking for. Because at the end of the day, like, we're all trying to navigate this as best we can, and the honesty that you'll get from builders that are really sort of going into bat for you is going to be the point in time. You just need to have a really good think about what you're actually trying to achieve, and being able to make the best decision based on that advice from either the builders or wherever you're getting your information from. Really, it's a minefield out there, but like for us, we're always trying to look at the experience that you're going to get, and we all know that things can go pear-shaped very quickly without the conversations happening at the start.
Thanks, you. Really appreciate that. There's some gold nuggets there. For me, if someone's listening at this stage, be honest with your builder. Be upfront. Say, hey, this is my end of the road budget. This is what I want. Can I get it all? If I can't get it all, what can I get for that? If you connect with your builder and you have a great experience and you trust them, right now, it's what we see or hearing all over social media. Obviously, builders are getting a bad rap at the moment. I really think if you connect with that builder and you be honest and say, this is what we want, and if you get it all in that budget, it's a win. But if it goes over it, which it mainly does sometimes, just remember, if this is going to be your house for the next 10, 20 years, then it's a no-brainer if you can afford it. That's why I tell clients. If this is your forever home, you're going to put the money in now, you should enjoy the fruits of life. You should be in it. And because, yeah, we can't bring it with us, but there is a cost to that. So that's my tip for anyone listening.
Yeah, that's
Cool.
brilliant. No, well, thank you very much, guys. A really good topic to sort of touch on at the moment. I mean, look, everybody's going through the challenges at the moment, and I think that we've all seen people freak out at the cost of building. But yeah, it's great to be able to sort of have that chat and put a little bit of information in front of people that might not necessarily have thought about. But
Hmm.
thank you very much, guys. Great
Thank
to see
you.
you, and
Thanks, Andy.
we
Thanks.
will see you on the next one.
Yes. Take care until then. Bye
Take care.
bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Builders Beyond Borders. If today's episode helped you feel more prepared, clearer, or more confident, share it with a mate who's planning their own build or reno. Got a question about building, renovating, or working with tradies? Send it our way. We might cover it in a future episode. And don't forget to hit follow or subscribe so you never miss the real stories, practical tips, and builder insights we've got coming your way. Everything shared on this podcast is based on our experiences and those of our guests. It's general info only. Any reliance on the information provided is done at your own risk.